Get ready for a love fest. Welcome to the Lover List, your source for the best love, dating, and relationship stories from the Reddit community. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you're ready to fall in love with our videos. What was the pettiest reason you refused to date someone? He stared at me blankly when I said the word Republican when describing one of my family members. I followed up and sure enough, he literally had no idea what the word Republican meant and didn't know about our largely two-party system. He was in his late 20s. If you're not into politics, that's one thing. But he had managed to live nearly 3 decades in our country without knowing basic information about our political system. My brain could not comprehend and I worried about what other basic information he had managed to avoid was. 'Twas a hard no on my end. She was a volunteer at the zoo and when kids asked her questions she didn't know the answer to, she would make something up and lie. Growing up on zoo books and Steve Irwin, I take animal facts very seriously. Went on a first date to the movies. This fucking guy, instead of picking up his drink and lifting the straw to his mouth, he would put his hands on his knees, keeping his eyes on the screen, and lean over to the drink and hunt for the straw with his face and his mouth contorted sideways trying to land on the straw. Weirdest ever. I did that when I was a kid, imitating what I saw on TV, but that is inefficient. You dropped this. My new car kept scraping on the bottom while pulling out of their steep driveway to the main road. After the 4th time of trying to be careful, and it still scraped. A very attractive, fun, smart woman asked me if I wanted to go get ice cream with her. I turned her down, but I guess in a way that she felt was flirty, so she kept asking. And finally, I had to tell her I was turning her down because she had both my mother's first and last name. She laughed a lot and agreed we couldn't date. All these posts about not dating people with the same name makes me grateful my mom has a very foreign, uncommon name. She was super hot, but she smelled. I dunno if she didn't shower or use deodorant, but she just smelled funky. I couldn't do it. My best girlfriend at the time was like, just tell her. How do you tell a girl you've known for a few weeks that she smells bad? So I just stopped talking to her. Brilliant. Weird enough is that sometimes people just smell like that, without necessarily have a medical condition, so, good call. People who smell spent a bunch of time trying to find a way to stop smelling bad to just have the answer that is their natural odor. She had the same name as my mom. I went out with someone who has the same name as my cat. I brought him back to my house and the second I got home I greeted my cat and the guy looked at me and I knew right then and there that I couldn't do this. That's on you for dating a dude named Snowball. Her complete inability to follow the plot of a movie. Who's that? Where'd he come from? Why'd she do that? Who is he again? I just couldn't. He would call me his beautiful Angle. He really didn't know how to spell angel, so for 5 months I put up with being an Angle. Also dated a guy who wanted to put a single-wide trailer on his parents' front lawn and thought I was unreasonable for not wanting to move in with him once he did so. I used to see a guy that used to say soulmate instead of soulmate. Clearly, I was neither. But that spelling error really bothered me, lol. A guy on a dating app said he wouldn't date me because I didn't like oysters. Well then don't use the Oyster app for dating. Edit. This is my highest rated comment ever by far. Thanks and thanks for the awards. She would insist on a job interview level of formality whenever we talked. Edit. For those asking for examples, the first time I asked her to my place went like this. Me, so do you want to take this back to my place? Her, is this an invitation for intercourse? Me, yes, it is. Her, please ask again properly please. After sex, thanks for having me today. We'll be in touch. She thought every cup/mug held the same volume of liquid and burned her hand transferring a beverage that was clearly larger than the intended holder. He wore a Bluetooth piece in his ear. The constant blue light blinking from the side of his head was too much for me. Another guy would text dame instead of damn. It wasn't a typo either, it was every time. I wonder if he was on a call the whole time so someone could help him with the date LMAO. He was wearing a hideous brown, fake leather jacket. It was so old that the leather had started to flake off and parts were just now canvas. He kept stopping to look at himself in windows and saying, "Oh God, I look so hot today, I just can't believe how hot I look," smoothing down his manky jacket, side-eyeing me, expecting me to agree with him. I left so he could be alone with his jacket. That's hilariously obnoxious. Is this petty though? Seems like a massive hint that his personality is lacking. My mom stopped dating a guy because he unfastened and refastened the Velcro on his shoes throughout an entire movie. Edit at the movie theater. On the first and only date, she chewed her food with her mouth open. It was so distracting I couldn't bear it. She called someone a pompous. Nope, she didn't say he was acting pompous or that he was a pompous ass. He was a pompous. I was the receiver of the petty reason, not the giver. When I was in college, a girl wouldn't go on a second date with me because my dorm room was too clean. Edit to add, what I got told by a mutual friend was that because my room was clean, it had to mean that I was gay, so she wouldn't date me. Everything was going great. Thought she was an amazing girl and we'd been seeing each other for 2 months. Go to her house for the first time and it was a little messy, but nothing to write home about. Then I go to the bathroom and put up the toilet seat. I don't think she'd ever cleaned the bottom of the toilet seat, given how disgusting it was. From then on, the only thing I could think about when talking or being with her was that disgusting toilet seat. I was friends with a guy who I was never going to date, like ever. We were just friends, and I hardly ever went to his place cause our friend group always hung out at mine or out somewhere. So I went to pick him up to hang out and I had to piss real bad. I asked if I could use his toilet, but he said it's really gross, no one cleans it. I didn't care, I just had to piss. So I said I'm going to either use your toilet or piss in your garden. He looked at me, looked back at his house, looked at me and said I'll hold out my jacket so no one sees you in the garden. Every time I touched her, I would smell of egg. Like holding hands, egg, hug her, my shirt would smell of egg. Strangest bit was, she didn't smell like that whatsoever. Also, when I broke it off, the egg smelling stopped. So IDK. There are perfumes that are incompatible. When they mix it stinks real bad like eggs. My buddy had that problem with his body wash and his laundry detergent. We had to do an intervention. It was probably just your laundry products. Can also happen with certain scents and body chemistries. My GF tried a new lotion the other day that smelled great on its own, but made her smell terrible. She had to shower it off and then gifted the rest of the bottle to a friend. She once wanted a burger without chips. I wanted one with chips. She ate all of my chips. The reason was that because I wasn't eating my chips because I didn't want them. I asked her if I didn't want then why did I order them? This ain't petty. It would me senseless mentally to be with someone who cannot put her demands in a clear manner and ask for chips. A friend of mine dated this girl who never ordered food, but as soon as your food showed up she'd say, "Ah, I love whatever your food was," and start eating it without asking. Not me, but someone I worked with refused to date this very handsome, successful, and kind man because he has too many things in his pockets. I mean, how much we talkin' here? This might not be that weird. If the guy is walking around with a tape measure, keys to his motorcycle, in the winter, some old cassette tape, a bouncy ball, glass eye, pair of tweezers, several different kinds of candy, a collapsible selfie stick and a map of a state he's not even living in, that's a no from me. She lived across the bridge and I hate going across the bridge. Edit. Didn't expect this to blow up. It's the Bay Bridge in the SF area. I live in Oakland. For me to date a girl in the city ITLL, take me an hour to get there, an hour home. All of this after working all day. Just not some ID want to do unless I was super into someone. Watch ironically ID never know since, the bridge. TBH it wouldn't have been fair to her either. Side note, more than a decade later I'm married to a girl from the other side of the bridge so you could say I got over it. They did that thing where they inflect their voice upwards at the end of everything they say as if it were a question. After about 10 minutes talking to them I was completely done. I just read your comment in that exact way and it honestly terrifies me. We had a date and it went well, but at the end she said I needed to contact her because her value was higher than mine and I simply didn't call he again. To prove my worth being the greater, I don't know if it worked. His laugh. It was the weirdest sounding laugh I've ever heard. The first time I heard it I was like, nope, can't deal with that for the rest of my life. Edit. Since many of you want to know what it sounded like, here's my best description. It's like he was trying to inhale and laugh at the same time. Very breathy, like gasping except worse. You missed out, Jimmy Carr is huge now. Every single text of her ended with, I just couldn't do it, man. My stepdad does this too. Dude will text me after he gets off of work around midnight and it's something like, hello, I need to talk to you, it's important. Will you call tomorrow? Hope to hear from you, good night. Gives me a heart attack every f***ing time because it's so needlessly ominous. Is it really gonna be a good night, or should I expect him to ask for my help with hiding a body in the morning? My mom adds. To the end of everything she asks, and if I don't reply fast enough I get hit with hello, annoys the living hell out of me. It's not that important, and to add that level of significance to a very minor question just grinds my gears. I had to explain everything to a girl. Everything. I still don't know if she was exceptional stupid or tried to keep the conversation going and was just really bad at it. Do you remember the guy who acted like he didn't know what a potato was? Texting with her was exactly like that. There was a guy I liked and we were flirting a lot, and then he asked my roommate out on a date. They went out and she said he spent the whole time asking about me. So we asked his friend about it, and apparently he had what he thought was a brilliant plan to go out with my roommate so I would become jealous and want to go out with him. Except I had been more than willing to date him if he had asked me instead of my roommate. He called me a week after the date with my roommate trying to spin some story about how going out with her showed him how much he liked me and asked if I wanted to go out. I told him I don't go on dates with guys who have dated my friends. After our first date he called me and asked me what I was up to. I replied, cleaning my house. He says, oh, you like cleaning? I have a house cleaner who comes every other day. But if we got married we could get rid of her and just have you clean. Sometimes they make it easy for you to decide if there should be a date number 2. I was on a first date, told him I love to cook, and dude told me his mom would teach me how to do his fave dishes just the way he likes. He wasn't kidding, took me the same day, after dinner to his place to meet his mom. I was mortified. He got a few consecutive bites out of my ice cream on our first date without asking me, and before I even tasted my own ice cream, and didn't even offer his to me. This is not petty. He was telling you what you needed to know about him. I once had a dude grab an ice cream cone out of my hands and bite the bottom so he could get the chocolate bit in the bottom of the waffle cone. Not only did he take the best part from me without asking, but he also left me with a cone that was dripping melted ice cream, so I just threw it out. To this day, I wish I would have gotten out of the car and never spoken to him again. When I hear about behavior like this, I can immediately see the children in class who never quite learn to be a considerate human being. They never get past the "I'm the center of the universe" mental stage and continue to exhibit bafflingly selfish behavior. It's the kind of story someone tells that you just think couldn't be true. Another episode of relationship stories that are truly worth telling, and you got to be a part of it. If you enjoyed hearing these tales, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications too so you never miss an episode filled with tales that'll warm your heart.